Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into something.
Yeah.
Well, something I guarantee you felt. That weird little jolt, when a familiar pattern, something small in your day just stops.
It's unsettling.
Totally unsettling. Like a ripple on a pond making you wonder what's underneath. Let me tell you about a friend and her dog, Charlie. It's a golden retriever.
Okay.
And Charlie, he's like clockwork in the morning. Seriously. Okay. Before the alarm even thinks about going off, he's there, tail wagging, nudging her hand.
Furry alarm clock.
Exactly. Wants scratches, wants the day to start. It's a comforting thing. Predictable.
Grounding ritual.
Yeah. But then one Tuesday morning, silence.
Uh-oh.
No Charlie. Nothing. She finds him just curled up on his bed, looking, just a bit off.
Off how? Like sick?
She didn't think so.
Yeah.
Just different. Quiet. She thought, that's weird. I'm going to brush it off. I mean, it's just a dog, right?
Right. You wouldn't necessarily connect it.
But later that same day, something completely unexpected blows up at her work. A huge project she'd poured months into, suddenly on hold, indefinitely, team reorganized, total chaos. It threw her whole week, maybe longer, into a tailspin. And looking back, she can't help but see Charlie that morning as like a premonition.
A little warning sign.
Yeah, a tiny, quiet flag before the storm hit. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Why do we do that? Why do these small breaks in routine, these tiny shifts, why do they feel so loaded? Like they mean something bigger, like a warning almost.
That's a fantastic question, and it leads us straight into how our brains are actually built. So this deep dive, we're exploring that fascinating, that really intricate connection between our brain's deep need for things to be predictable.
Right, for patterns.
Exactly, and how we react psychologically, neurologically, when that predictability just falters. Our mission really is to unpack the evolutionary roots, the brain science behind that feeling.
That unsettling feeling.
Yes. And, crucially, move beyond just thinking, it's a warning, to understanding how we can actually interpret, maybe even use these pattern breaks.
Okay, let's get into it. Because to understand why that broken pattern feels so significant, why it gives you that little shiver, we have to talk about the brain itself. Because fundamentally, your brain is a prediction machine.
Yeah.
That's its main job, isn't it? It's obsessed with patterns.
Absolutely obsessed. It doesn't just like patterns. It actively seeks them, builds its whole world around expecting them. And this isn't just, a preference. It's deeply evolutionary.
Survival.
Totally. It's a core survival mechanism, honed over countless generations. Think about early humans. Life was harsh, unpredictable.
Right. Danger everywhere.
Exactly. So who survived, who thrived? It wasn't the ones constantly surprised. It was the ones whose brains got good at predicting.
Predicting what, though? Like where lions hang out?
That, definitely. But also, where's the good berry patch this season? When do the rains usually come? Being able to anticipate these environmental cues. It wasn't just an advantage, it was the advantage.
Life or death, basically.
Pretty much. Finding food, avoiding becoming food, passing on your genes. Their brains were constantly scanning, analyzing, building mental models because they had to. Their existence depended on it.
So it's not just about dodging predators, it's broader, like finding food, building societies even.
Absolutely. That ancient wiring, it's still running the show in our modern lives, even if, the stakes feel a bit lower than saber-toothed tigers.
Hopefully.
Right. But our brains are still doing it, constantly scanning for regularities. Think about traffic lights.
Yeah, you know the sequence?
If your brain expects the green. Or your favorite song, the rhythm where the chorus kicks in.
Or making coffee in the morning, the steps are always the same.
Exactly. Grinding beans, hot water, the pour, it's all patterns. Our brains are processing them constantly, usually below conscious awareness.
Which lets us handle the complex stuff, right? Frees up mental space.
Precisely. It gives us a sense of order, makes things efficient. We're not consciously thinking about every little pattern.
Okay, and here's where it's really interesting, you said. There's a reward when the brain guesses right.
Yes. There's a powerful neurological reward system when your prediction matches reality when the pattern holds.
The traffic light goes green like you expected.
Right. Or the coffee tastes normal. Your brain gives you a little reward, like saying, nailed it. It involves dopamine. When a prediction is confirmed, or maybe even if the outcome is better than expected, you get a little hit of dopamine.
Dopamine. The feel-good chemical.
Well, yes, but here it's more nuanced. It acts like a reinforcement signal The brain is essentially saying, good job, that prediction worked. Keep using that pathway.
So it encourages us to find and stick to patterns.
Exactly. It strengthens those neural connections. It's how we learn, how we adapt. It makes our internal world model better, more reliable. It's optimizing. And this whole cycle, predict, test, reinforce this, builds what psychologists call mental scripts.
Mental scripts, like blueprints.
Yeah, like internal blueprints, pre-programmed sequences for how things are supposed to go. They're shortcuts, basically. Many programs running in the background.
So autopilot mode.
That's a great way to put it.
We're on it all the time, aren't we? Like the daily commute. Most days, I barely remember driving here.
Exactly. You're not thinking through every turn, every merge. Your script is running.
Or ordering coffee from the usual place. Order, pay, wait, grab, done.
Or cooking a meal you've made 100 times. No recipe needed.
Even work meetings often follow a script, right? Agenda, discussion, action items.
Predictable flow. And the benefit is huge, cognitively speaking.
Saves energy.
Tremendous amounts of energy. Imagine consciously thinking through every single step of everything you do.
Exhausting. Paralyzing, probably.
Totally. So autopilot isn't lazy. It's efficient. It frees up your conscious attention for things that are actually new or tricky. Lets us be problem solvers when needed.
Okay, so these scripts are humming along, everything's efficient. Then what happens when there's a glitch?
That's the key moment.
Like your usual barista isn't there? Or that bird outside your window, suddenly quiet?
That's when you feel that jolt we talked about, that unsettling feeling.
Right, it's instant.
Neurologically, it's a massive shift. Your brain snaps from that efficient autopilot.
Straight into full alert mode.
Instantly. Hypervigilance, it's not gradual. The moment sensory input doesn't match the script, bam, alarm bells. And this triggers what neuroscientists call a prediction error response.
Prediction error.
It's fundamental. When the expected doesn't happen or something totally unexpected does, it's like a big flashing red light goes off.
Where in the brain?
Areas like the prefrontal cortex, anterior cingulate cortex, places involved in, high-level thinking, error checking, decision-making. This unexpected thing, it's immediately flagged. High priority, needs attention, now.
Even if the brain doesn't know why it happened.
Exactly. It just knows the world isn't playing by the expected rules anymore. So it signals anomaly, divergence, investigate, urgent.
And that neurological jolt, that's not just happening silently inside our heads, is it? It causes stuff.
Yeah.
Feelings. Physical reactions.
Oh, absolutely. It triggers a whole cascade.
What does it feel like, that prediction error hitting us?
You might feel a surge of anxiety, maybe just unease. You become more alert, senses heightened.
Like you're scanning for something else. Yeah,
that vague, unsettling feeling that something else might be coming. Your heart rate might tick up, muscles tense a bit. Your attention zeroes in on whatever broke the pattern.
So it's not necessarily logical fear yet.
Not necessarily. It's more primal. The brain's ancient warning. Status quo disrupted, be ready. It primes you for action, just in case. An unconscious threat assessment.
And we see this play out everywhere, right? Those anecdote stories about people just knowing something was wrong before something bad happened.
Countless stories like that. And fascinating examples in nature, too.
Like animals before earthquakes.
Exactly. Animals fleeing to high ground before a tsunami. Birds falling silent before an earthquake.
Is that like a sixth sense? Or is there science there?
There's definitely science. It's usually attributed to animals picking up subtle cues we miss. Their senses are often way more tuned in.
Like what kind of cues?
Tiny changes in air pressure, really small ground vibrations we wouldn't feel, maybe even unusual smells from geological shifts.
Oh, so those are pattern breaks for them.
Precisely. Their senses register these subtle deviations from the norm as major warnings. It triggers a survival response, flee, hide. We only feel the weirdness later, maybe.
Okay, this is fascinating. But here's the big question, isn't it? Are these pattern breaks always real warnings? Or are we just wired to see them that way because our brains hate unpredictability?
That is the crucial distinction, and it's where our psychology, our biases, really come into play.
Like confirmation bias.
Exactly. Confirmation bias is huge here. We tend to seek out, remember, and give more weight to stuff that confirms what we already think or feel. So think about your friend and Charlie again.
Right. The one time the dog was weird before a bad day, that sticks.
It sticks vividly. It confirms the suspicion that the weirdness was a warning. Our brains love connecting those dots, creating a narrative, even if it's just coincidence.
And we totally forget all the other times a pattern broke and nothing happened.
Completely. The barista was just sick that day. The bird flew south. Nothing bad followed. Those non-events, they don't get logged with the same emotional tag.
No dopamine hit, no flashing red light.
Right. So we filter, we remember the hits and forget the misses. We build a story that fits the feeling, even if it's not really accurate. It's a glitch in our otherwise helpful survival wiring.
And we also tend to just assign meaning to random stuff, don't we?
Oh, profoundly. Our brains crave coherence. They hate randomness, ambiguity. They'll impose patterns and cause and effect even where there isn't any.
Like a flickering light.
Perfect example. Objectively. Could be a loose wire, bad bulb, simple explanation.
Good.
But if it happens right after you had some unrelated worry, some vague, bad feeling,
Your brain connects them.
instantly, suddenly the light isn't an electrical issue, it's a bad omen. It confirms the unease you already felt.
Wow. You can see how superstitions get started that way.
It's the foundation for so many, across cultures, across time. Think about common ones.
Broken mirror.
Right. Familiar reflection shattered, pattern broken, bad luck.
Black cat crossing your path.
Familiar animal, maybe the wrong color or direction, breaks the expected flow. Bad sign for some.
Walking under a ladder.
Stable structure creates an unnatural archway.
Yeah.
Deviates from the norm, don't do it. All deviations, pattern breaks that cultures have loaded with meaning, often negative. It's this universal human impulse to find order, connect the dots, even when it's just noise.
So the brain's initial alarm, the pay attention signal, that's vital. But how we interpret that alarm, that's where bias and culture step in.
Exactly. It's the signal versus our potentially flawed decoding of the signal. That's the critical difference.
Okay. So acknowledging all the biases, the misinterpretations, it doesn't mean these pattern breaks are useless, right? You said they could be valuable.
Incredibly valuable. Even if they aren't warnings of doom, these everyday glitches can actually tell us important things about ourselves, our lives. Things we'd miss otherwise.
How so?
Well, sometimes that pattern break is the first clue that we were on autopilot.
Ah, it wakes you up.
Precisely. You didn't even realize you were just going through the motions, following the script, until the script got interrupted. It pulls back the curtain on your own disengagement.
And that happens all the time. Like maybe you're just phoning it in at work, no passion, just tasks.
Or a relationship feels stagnant. Comfortable, maybe, but not really alive, just following the usual rhythm.
Or even just daily habits. Same route, same breakfast, same evening routine, without really thinking if it's, good for you.
Right. Then something small changes. A new boss shakes things up. A friend moves away, leaving a gap. Your commute gets rerouted.
These aren't disasters, but they jolt you.
They jolt you out of autopilot. And that jolt isn't necessarily bad. It's an invitation. Reflect. Redirect. Recalibrate. It's a moment of potential awakening, not just disruption.
Yeah, we need to see them less as dramatic warnings, maybe more as gentle nudges.
Nudges, I like that.
Gentle nudges from your brain or from the world saying, hey, pay attention here. Something's different beneath the surface. There's subtle signals that reality might be shifting away from your mental script.
Opportunities to think about your thinking.
Exactly. Metacognition.
And these nudges can be really practical if we tune in. Like you mentioned a nagging ache.
Yes, a persistent ache or discomfort, not agony, but different from your normal baseline. That's a pattern break in your body.
Could be an early health signal. Potentially. Worth listening to. Maybe getting checked out before it becomes something major. Your body sending a signal. Or think about relationships. Subtle shifts in communication.
Like texts answered slower. Or a slight edge in their voice.
Or certain topics get avoided. It's not a big fight, but the pattern of interaction has changed. That could signal underlying strain, unspoken issues.
Addressing it early could save trouble later.
Exactly. It's like that flickering light again, but emotionally. Something needs attention in the connection.
And this applies to our surroundings, too, like the environment.
Definitely. Maybe you notice fewer birds in your garden over time, consistently.
Okay.
Or a plant that always did well suddenly looks stressed. These aren't huge events, but they're breaks from the expected natural pattern.
What could that mean?
Could be a nudge to look into local ecological changes, weird weather, maybe pests. It's about being present, observing the actual, not just the expected. And what's really powerful here is that these shifts, these nudges, they offer a chance for proactive engagement, not just reactive fear.
Right. You can consciously respond.
You get conscious awareness, a chance for thoughtful response, maybe self-correction. You can adapt before a small deviation becomes a huge crisis. It's about building a more attuned relationship with yourself and the world.
Seeing disruptions as data, not just failures.
Beautifully put. Valuable data points for growth.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the takeaway? Next time we feel that off feeling, because, the mailman came early or something, what do we do?
First, just acknowledge the feeling. That little jolt of anxiety, that's your brain doing its job. Flagging the unexpected. Telling you to pay attention.
It's normal. It's the alarm system.
It's totally normal. Nothing wrong with feeling it. But then, and this is crucial, take that next step. Pause. Resist the urge to immediately slap a meaning on it, especially a negative or superstitious one.
Don't assume it's a bad omen.
Right. Just observe without judgment. The alarm bell is ringing, yes, but it's a call to awareness, not necessarily a prophecy. It's just saying, this is different, reevaluate. That pause is where you shift from reacting to responding.
Okay, so for a practical step, maybe something we can try this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Try this. Take a few minutes to maybe jot down or even voice note some of your small daily patterns.
Like the morning routine.
Exactly, step by step. What sounds do you usually hear? Who do you usually see? Map out your normal.
Okay.
Then just pay attention during the week. When does one of those little patterns break? The key is not to jump to conclusions about why or what it means.
Just notice.
Just notice the break itself. How does it feel? Physically? Emotionally? Observe it purely without adding a story.
That sounds surprisingly hard.
It takes practice.
Okay, and maybe a deeper challenge, something more active.
All right, if you're feeling adventurous, intentionally break one of your own small routines for a day.
Like how?
Take a totally different route to work. Force your brain to navigate something new. Or eat breakfast at a weird time. Or wear something completely out of your usual style.
Challenge the autopilot.
Exactly. And then just notice, how do you feel when your own predictability is disrupted? What do you observe differently about the world or yourself? What emotions pop up?
That could be really revealing.
You might be genuinely surprised what you learn about your reliance on routine and just your own inner landscape. It's using that prediction system actively for insight.
Fascinating. Okay, great challenges. And next week, we're actually going to keep digging into this idea of routine in our deep dive. Living in the loop. Our days just echoes of each other.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
The power and maybe the pitfalls of habit.
Exactly. Are we living or just repeating? We'll explore that. Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Catch you next time.